You ready, Daryl?
What's that?
Ready?
Yep, we're good. We're good.
Yes, Callie. Yeah, Callie was in
Good?
Huh?
When she was a kid?
She was 6'5" at the time.
Good afternoon. It is time for the Legal and Finance Committee meeting for October 15th, 2025. We'll begin with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Evans,
Here.
Lehman,
Here?
Seacrest. Here. Roman,
Here.
May.
Here.
Have a quorum.
Okay. Next will be adoption of the agenda. There's a motion by Lehman and a second by Tamang to adopt. All in favor? All opposed? The motion carries. Next, we'll go to consent items. I'm going to open public comment on consent items 1 through 11. I have no speaker requests for items 1 through 11, and so I'm going to close the public comment on the consent items 1 through 11 and move on to consent items 1 through 11 and ask if any committee members want to pull any item for specific consideration. Hearing none, is there a motion on items 1 through 11? There's a motion by Seacrest and a second by Evans to approve items 1 through 11. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to the end of the consent calendar, and I'll go to the non-consent calendar. I'm going to open public comment on non-consent items 12 through 16, and I have one speaker request form from Mark Millar. Sir, I think you know the drill.
Yeah, I'm Mark Millar. I guess I know the drill. I'm sorry, I thought I had 4 and 11 also on that sheet. I'd like to start with 11 and 12. I see those are about appropriations, and I'm wondering if the amount of the appropriations in question shouldn't be listed on that line for those of us that are trying to keep up with what's going on with the city. And my second question is, if you could answer this, is the bulletin board outside the door here at all involved in our notification process for council meetings? Because I thought I used to be able to stop there before the council meetings and see the agenda, but I've been missing that as prior to the meetings. And then again today, now this meeting is not listed there at all, but the meeting that's coming up later this afternoon is. So is that a reliable source to get my information on what's taking place here or not? Can anybody answer me that?
I'll see, does anybody have a, we'll go to Finance Director Daniel Ainsley. You might be able to address that.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Chair.
if I could answer that, and then
Yes,
I
sir.
would like to talk about item 4.
All of the public meetings or agendas are posted downstairs. It's on the, there's a bulletin board that's available for the public outside of City Hall. And that's where everything is posted before the meetings, at least 24 hours in advance.
So we've been missing that down there repeatedly? Because I missed the Legal and Finance and the Public Works meetings 2 weeks ago, and that wasn't listed there. But I don't know if that address changed based on being the week before the council meeting. Anyways, so none of this agenda's been posted there on and off for several weeks, I've noticed. I wouldn't be able to tell you the specifics other than I've just generally noticed that some of this information is missing. So now, am I on the timer?
Well, you don't have to be yet because we're clearing something up here because you said that you wanted to speak on 4.
Yeah, 4 is
Okay.
abatements.
I could not tell. It's kind of.
I see, I kind of wrote that. I was trying to write it on the chair. I apologize.
So, yeah, then I'm going to go back and open public comment on consent items so that you can speak to number 4.
Were there any abatements to be addressed in number 4? Okay, I would like to speak on this. This has actually been the longest topic, and the first topic I ever came to the council about was abatements. Literally started with Sam Kook here in a North Rapids Civics Committee meeting 13 years ago, 10 years ago, who knows? I think the only person that would have been there is possibly the attorney and John Roberts, and everybody else has changed hands since then. At that meeting, 2 sisters from Perpetual Help spoke on behalf of a handicapped woman in North Rapid who was being assessed an abatement by the city. While at the same time, there was half a dozen commercial businesses in North Rapid along Haynes Avenue that had 6-foot tall weeds in them. And it was at that point that I learned that none of the city employees are obligated to report any of this, and basically these decisions based on abatement are decided by the neighbors. I've heard a lot of stories about abatement in these chambers. I heard some flat out untruths come out of Missumption based on the billing practices for abatement. But as one of the things that, of just being a little critical of you guys, because I know you expect us all to be perfect, when you do leave here, I'd like you to look at the weed problem across the street at the city's parking lot at the corner of 5th and Omaha. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to close public comment on, is this a general public comment, Jim?
What, is general public comment still open? I'd mark it if it is.
No, he was just on item number 4. You're on 7? Yeah, we can take yours. That's on item 7. Okay, you have 3 minutes, Mr. Bialotta.
Yes. Good afternoon, sirs. So the police is seeking funding for more vehicles, but they have a gaping issue or gaping issue that needs to be under control first. They're not going to be able to afford anything. Right now, they have not once but multiple times this year seized press, property, and work product in violation of the 1980 Privacy Protection Act. And the Privacy Protection Act was written in a way to specifically allow the lawsuit directly against government and government agents for taking press material. And this law was actually done by Congress after they disagreed and the nation disagreed with a judge who ruled that law enforcement could seize press material. And the blowback was so hard that Congress darn near unanimously approved that bill and passed that law. And that law has serious teeth. There's no qualified immunity. There's no sovereign immunity. Basically, you're boned. And this is what's going to happen. I intend to file a lawsuit for not once but twice seizing my digital media and work products after disclosing to police that it was press material, that I was there as First Amendment. So Rapid City PD has a pattern and practice of violating this law. And this law isn't unheard of. It's even been featured in the series Blue Buds, which is a cop show on young officers not knowing they can't seize media. However, this wasn't done by a young officer. It was done by a sergeant with decades of experience. So this has got to end, and it's got to end now. So I wouldn't be in favor of approving any additional budget for the police because it appears their budget's going to get drastically cut in a pending lawsuit. And that's all I have to say on that. I mean, the police are out of hand. They're violating federal law. It's not even a debatable law. There's not a gray area. They were told that it was press material and took it anyway. And I would like you guys to add an addendum to this agenda or not pass this expenditure based on the fact that it appears the city of Rapid City's police is going to be heftily sued. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to close public comment on consent items 111, and after that, is there any other motions, or can we re-urge the previous motion? I guess I'd rather go back and have a do-over since we had some additional input.
Well, I don't make a comment.
Okay, we'll go to Bill Evans.
Concerning Mr. Millar's comment about not finding things on the agenda, I mean, I've mentioned that in the past too. And the reality is I always bring a computer because the link does contain all the pertinent information. I don't know if that's good enough for the people in the audience. If they're bringing an iPad or something, they can get all of this stuff. But perhaps there could be a bit more information in these descriptions so that people that are working off a sheet of paper actually kind of have something to work with. I don't find that to be unreasonable. That's all I want to say.
Okay, there's a motion by Sechrist and a second by Tamang to approve consent items 1 through 11. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to move on to non-consent items, and I'm going to open public comment on non-consent items 12 and through 16. And I do have a speaker request form from Mr. Millar to speak on items 12 and 13.
Are those the appropriations? I guess I already spoke my
Okay.
mind there. I just think that in any kind of proper statement, you gotta list the facts, don't you? I mean, you don't start a paragraph with an abbreviation assuming the person knows what it stands for. If we're talking money, we should see the dollars. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And having no other speaker request forms, I'm going to close public comment on non-consent items 12 through 16 and go to item 12, second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6689, an ordinance regarding supplemental appropriation number 3 for 2025. And if we could hear from Director Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There have been no changes between the first and second reading of the supplemental appropriation. This is the third one for the year. Its total is $3.5 million. The majority of that is for the TID 83. That is a homestead purchase and improvements that are going in there for parklands, as well as a fire station and police substation that will be constructed there. There's a few other projects as well. If you look on the resolution, it does do a line-by-line abbreviation to explain what all the expenditures are, and that's on page 4 of the resolution. Are there any questions?
Motion by Sechrist and a second by Evans to approve item 12. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next, item 13, introduction, first reading of ordinance number 6695, an ordinance regarding supplemental appropriation number 4 for 2025. And we'll go back to Finance Director Ainsley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This total supplemental appropriation is for $7.6 million. All of these are projects that previously had purchase orders in 2024, but they were not closed out by the time we had to close out the 2024 budget. And so they're carried forward into 2025. Most of these items have actually already been purchased. They've been on previous bill lists by the council, and so we're just adding the budgeted authority so that they can be completed and reconciled to the budget.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Motion by Evans and second by Sechrist to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14, consideration to approve revised loan terms and authorize drawing on letter of credit for Every Child is Special. And I guess we'll go back to Director Ainsley.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. This item revolves around a loan that was made by the city in 2021. It was a $75,500 life safety loan to reimburse Every Child is Special child care facility for, I believe, some sprinkler or fire suppression system enhancements that were made to the facility. So the owner did proceed with those improvements, and then the city reimbursed the owner for those costs. And at that time, it was amortized at a 2% loan for 5 years. For several quarters, payments were made, but then starting in August 21st of 2023, we did stop receiving payments. We've spoken with the owner several times in the past. It seems like most of the reason why we have not received payments on the loan have been through some clerical errors with their bookkeeper. And so the owner does believe that by the end of this month, they would be able to make an $8,000 payment. And then by the 15th of each month, they would be able to make a $1,200 payment. That would allow this loan to be fully repaid. And also the owner has stated that he would be able to get a new letter of credit, I believe by the end of this week or by very early next week. That letter of credit would extend throughout the revised term of this loan. If the council does approve these changes, we would work with the attorney's office to prepare a new loan agreement that would allow the remaining balance on this loan to proceed. We believe this is the best way to allow the child care facility to continue in operations and also protect the taxpayers for the investment that they've made. Are there any questions?
Go to Joel Landine, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just say, part of the reason this is on your agenda now is that we have a letter of credit that secures the loan that's about to expire. If that expires, you have an unsecured loan with somebody who has a history of not making their payments. So, and I know there's been explanations given, but I can say I've been involved off and on with this for well over a year, and there's always an excuse of why the payments aren't made, an assurance that it'll get taken care of, and then we get a couple of payments and then it's no payment again. So I don't think we should let this loan go unsecured. I think there was an issue getting a letter of credit to replace the one. Frankly, if the owner had been able to replace the letter of credit, we probably would continue to work with them because of the child care issues. But I think that has to be clear that I would ask for the council to make clear that if we do not get a new letter of credit within the next week or two and the existing letter is going to expire, that the finance officer has the ability to draw on that. Otherwise, we will have an unsecured loan and we will probably not get repaid. So I would just want to make clear, I think if we can get a new letter of credit and it's secured and we know whether there's payments or not, at some point we'll be able to recoup the full amount of the loan, then I think that's fine to allow them to try to continue to operate. But if we do not get the new letter of credit, I would ask that it's very clear we have the authority to draw on the existing letter before it expires.
Thank you. Go to Stephen Tamang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think a couple of things to point out. This is a high-yield community need. And so there's a reason why I think child care centers struggle, and there's a reason why they're often tied into corporations or large nonprofits. So it's one of those areas that I think naturally draws upon the city to support. And I think it's sort of one of those, not only is it a constituent issue that they care a lot about, but it's also a societal well-being. So I think it's important that we look at this not in a derogatory fashion. I think it's much better that we look at this as a supportive fashion. I think someone from the organization might be in the audience. I don't know, is there anyone? Can we possibly hear from that person? Or is there? Okay, so I'll yield.
Sorry, yes. So I'm one of the owners of the facility, and we are able to secure the letter of credit. I have spoke with Mr. McKay at the Black Hills Federal Credit Union, and he's completely willing to have it ready by Friday. So.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Bill Evans.
I agree with what Tamang said, and you have to realize people that run these facilities, they also have problems getting people to pay them for the services they've already provided. And so they're kind of caught in that middle ground where their income is not coming in. And so I think we need to be very cautious about, being too hard on these people or picking on them to repay loans when they have every intention of doing it. So I say we support this. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm a little confused as to what we would be voting on or what the motion would be here. Just says consideration to approve revised loan terms and authorize drawing on a letter of credit. Is there something we're changing in the contract, Joel, or is that? Or Daniel?
Mr. Chair, yeah, what we are requesting from the council, number one, is a new set of terms for a loan. One, that $8,000 would be received by the end of this month, and that each month thereafter we would receive $1,200 each month until the loan is fully repaid, and also that we would receive a new letter of credit that would extend throughout the life of this loan. As well as what the city attorney brought up, is that it would also authorize drawing on the letters of credit if those terms are breached. If the council agrees to that, or if the committee recommends and then the council agrees on Monday night, we would be bringing forward to the council a new loan agreement. I would hope in November for the council to consider. It would be consistent with these terms. But I think most importantly is that we would have a new letter of credit by that time that extends the life of the credit, or the life of the letter of credit that is about to expire.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Go to Councilman Stephen Tamang.
Thank you, Chair. Is it all right if I direct the question to the applicant?
Sure.
Or I guess the owner. Does these terms, are they workable for your organization?
We can make them work, yes. Like the monthly payment's 100%, and then the $8,000 payment by the 31st. Yeah, yes.
Perfect. All right, thank you. I yield.
Okay, there's a motion by Seacrest and a second by Evans to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next is item 15, second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6692, an ordinance transferring the city's transit and GIS, Geographic Information System, divisions from the Department of Public Works to the Department of Community Development by amending chapters 2.44 and 2.7 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. And we'll go to Community Development Director Vicki Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the second reading of this request. For information, transportation planning is already housed within community development, so it really does make sense to put the transit system within the same department. Currently, those divisions work very closely together. And as a reminder, GIS initiated in planning. I'm not sure how it got taken away from us years ago, but it does serve as a wonderful land use tool, and we are excited to have it back. In addition, our goal is to do more in-house studies and working with other departments to provide that service. Having planners and the GIS within one department, hopefully we can limit the number of consultants we're hiring to do some of the studies in the city. Thank you.
Got a motion by Lehman and a second by Tamang to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Alderman items. I had asked Michaela if she would add this to the agenda, which she did. Thank you for that. But prior to asking her, I asked Alderman Tamang if he would give us an update on the opioid task force, which he has been so ably leading for our community, and going to turn it over to Councilman Tamang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as everyone knows, there's a large settlement fund that's arguably around $100 million for the state. And as a city, we're attempting, we have some goals. Our goal is to bring as much of that funds locally as we can properly deploy. To that end, Mayor Solomon has formed a committee initially to make the ask for these funds through DSS, and now a more formal committee which was approved through the council to allocate our current funds and future funds. The composition of that committee has been finalized and signed off by the mayor. We have 5 elected officials on that, including 3 city council members, the sheriff, and a county commissioner, along with who we felt collectively are some of the best operators and people that had deep insight into the situation. The current activities that we are undertaking is attempting to figure out the best utilization of the current funds the city has. I won't have the exact number, but it's somewhere around $500,000 to $600,000 even after we purchase some equipment. And so getting those dollars implemented to the systems that are doing the most meaningful, high impact work is the goal. And on a side note on that point, one of the, I guess it's really politics about these monies. One of the criticisms that was made at the DSS committee was that we have funds and we're not spending them. And that was suggested that we aren't capable of getting more funds. And so I think that was not a fair argument. I think the correct point is we didn't have a great deal of guidance on those funds. And so we now have the right people, I believe, in place, and we're going to have a plan coming forward soon for the council and this committee to review and to implement those dollars in a way that makes sense. Future activities, what's coming down the pipeline for us for this? We know it is highly speculated, I should say, that in November there will be a series of new applications that will be requested or available to apply for through the DSS committee. These are what they're calling transformational programs. And I don't know precisely how the city will play into that because the guidance hasn't been fully laid out, but we need to be prepared for any eventuality. There's politics at play at the higher level as well, whether a block grant can be done, as has been stated at the press conference with the mayors from Rapid City and Sioux Falls and the Attorney General's office. We need to be prepared for that eventuality. We need to be prepared for the eventuality that it stays under DSS. We need to be prepared for whatever possibilities DSS lays out. And so we have the right committee in place. I think we have the right ideas in place. And with a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck, I'm hoping that we can bring these dollars into our community to help the folks that need them. Thank you.
Go to Councilman Bill Evans.
Yeah, Dr. Tamang, has there been any formal correspondence with our local representative, one of whom is like head of Ways and Means for the state, and I would think has an inside track on how some of these discussions about the money being spent start? Have those been set up at all?
Go back to Councilman Tamang.
So I'll kind of lay out the framework of communication thus far. The money trickles in over the course of years, and it was originally acquired, is my understanding, the Attorney General's office acquired these funds and put them under the control of DSS. DSS has allocated them. A legislature set out that 70% was controlled by the state, and 30% was going to go out to municipalities and counties. Like that was kind of the breakdown that they had. So we've been collecting our 30%, but the 70% has largely been untapped. And the criticism was, after a number of years, why are these dollars not being spent? And so the idea was to do these block grants to the cities. Now, we have to kind of let the grown-ups figure that piece out. We don't know if it's going to go to the legislature and try to redefine those terms. As far as communication, I'll tell you that DSS has been very responsible and responsive to our committee. So is the Attorney General's office. We have been in discussions with both of them. So we don't have a role in that except to say we need to position ourselves wisely so that when the money is available, we can put up our hand to demonstrate that we match the need they're trying to solve. Proactive on the legislature, I think, is probably a little bit premature just because it hasn't, the AG will have to take that up to decide if they want to pursue it. This is all public knowledge. This has been speculated in press conferences to date. But what I do believe is, what I do believe we can do that will actually make a difference is make sure we hear from the members on our committee are really the leaders in this space. We need to be very in tune and aligned to understand what we want to do, which is taking a lot of everybody's time. And we have a meeting tomorrow, and I've talked to every committee member beforehand. And so we have to do that, and then we have to be very ready to roll Johnny on the spot when these start to come out, because there's going to be a vacuum. The committee is likely under pressure because they have these funds that haven't been distributed. So they're going to be, I think, appropriately eager to disperse them. So we have to be in a position to meet their criteria.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tamang, and thank you for your willingness to spearhead this effort. I do think it's critical that someone with your expertise is able to present to the powers that be on what would be the appropriate use of these funds. And I think that you're doing a great job, and I just hope that you can continue to stay the course and that we can see those funds distributed and used as they were intended to be used. So thank you. Okay, there's a motion to acknowledge by Sechrist and a second by Lehman. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn by Lehman, second by Sechrist. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.